Oppenheimer gave me a literal panic attack, to the point where I almost left the theater. I'll explain why shortly, but first, let me tell you about the film. During the height of World War II, a race was underway between the Allies and the Axis powers to develop the first superweapon. In the US, the government recruited physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy, to assemble a team of scientists that would produce a weapon of mass destruction, the atomic bomb. Understanding a weapon of this magnitude would not only end this war, but possibly all future wars. Oppenheimer and his team moved to a makeshift town in Barron, New Mexico, where they worked secretly for years to achieve something that could change the world forever. Unlocking the secret to nuclear weaponry wasn't the only obstacle in this scientific race to global power. Rumors of Oppenheimer's association with the American Communist Party were tainting his reputation. Infidelity was fracturing his personal life, and the ramifications of creating something so destructive was morally splintering his team. The achievements of Oppenheimer ignited controversy in the US government, made ripples across the globe, and created concern for all of humanity among his fellow scientists. Even Oppenheimer struggled to accept his terrible revelation of divine power. Director Christopher Nolan, to no surprise, tells a non-linear version of Oppenheimer's story. He uses the 3-hour-plus runtime to jump from Oppenheimer's journey in education to his time developing the nuclear bomb, and finally to the ultimate unraveling consequences that occur after his success. The moment this film begins, you realize you are watching something different. It is a lot of film, and it's pure art. Nolan's cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema's narrow depth of field creates dreamlike visuals that mesmerize you with their beauty until they're shattered by the seat-shaking sounds of nuclear power. Nolan's direction places you in the action. When Oppenheimer is trying to catch a glimpse of an admired professor at a college lecture, it feels like we're seated next to him in the crowded classroom. When Robert Downey Jr.'s character is questioned by the Senate, we feel like we are watching history unfold before our eyes. And when Oppenheimer and his team wait for the rain to subside before they can test their weapon, it seems like we can feel the atmosphere of New Mexico within the theater. It is vintage Christopher Nolan, but unlike his other films, Oppenheimer has prolonged scenes of nudity. They are included to reveal the uncomfortable truth of Oppenheimer's recurring infidelity, and it does the job of making the audience feel just as uncomfortable. The storytelling style of Oppenheimer shares similarities with David Fincher's The Social Network. Much of the plot is told through courtroom dialogue assisted by flashbacks of the actual events. But instead of the invention of Facebook, it's about the invention of the atomic bomb, both of which some may argue could destroy the world. A driving score persists through this film both during these moments of dialogue, along with the moments of scientific discovery. As good as this score is, it'll probably be Oscar nominated. This is the aspect of Oppenheimer that led to my panic attack. I was in the dead center of a packed IMAX screening, probably the best seat in the house, and this propulsive music forced tension at all times. There was never a moment for me to relax and appreciate the movie I was experiencing. I actually considered stepping out to escape the barrage on my senses. It was overwhelming. Think in contrast to the opening scene of Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds. A Nazi is interrogating a farmer in occupied France. It's an unsettling topic, but the conversation is innocent enough. Suddenly the mood shifts. There's no music, but the Nazi's eyes suddenly pierce deep into the farmer, and we know the stakes have changed. It's a masterstroke of filmmaking.
You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?
Yes.
Unlike Inglourious Basterds, Oppenheimer feels like the filmmakers are forcing emotions on the audience through music rather than letting us encounter our own experience. Despite the numerous close-ups of Cillian Murphy, his piercing eyes failed to tell me anything happening behind the weary face of his version of Oppenheimer. Many of the characters within the film struggled to understand where he stood on communism, science, and morality. I too struggled to understand. In one sense, the movie seems to be asking us to pity Oppenheimer, but it also reminds us literally that this man doesn't get to commit sin and make us feel bad for his consequences. maybe that dichotomy is the point. Oppenheimer begs to be seen in the theater, and for such a long film, it flies by quickly, and I was ready to watch it again when it was over. It certainly is a good film, but I'm not sure if it's great. Like other Nolan films, it's filled with extensive details. Perhaps in a second viewing, a bomb will go off in my head, and I'll realize that Oppenheimer is, in fact, great.